So let's take stock here. You just saw a former cop turned comedian. Now you've got a former journalist turned comedian. Can they think of two more controversial professions to put on the same bill? The next guy coming out's a former congressman, just so you know. Oh, man. Hey, I am so excited to be in Provo. I have never been to Provo before, so it's always great to come to a new city because you don't really know what to expect. And I'm looking out and I see people from all different walks of life, different age ranges, which is great because I do a lot of shows for corporate clients, and sometimes everybody in the audience does the exact same thing for a living. Like, I did a show not too long ago, and everybody in the audience was a company human resources administrator. Yeah, you think your job's tough? Try doing stand-up comedy for a group who is paid to suck the fun out of everything. And then I did a show and everybody in the audience was an engineer. I don't know, do we have any engineers or anybody who's majoring in engineering? Anybody with an engineering background right there? Okay, I'm not gonna make fun of engineers, sir, because you got great senses of humor, but you're the most anal, literal people I have ever met in my entire life. It's true, engineers, they never knew when I was telling a joke. This was in San Antonio. I'd been to the Alamo that day, which is really a cool tour, but it's really depressing because they get you in this room and they say, this is where it ended. The settlers were trapped. They had nothing, no food, no water, zip. And I said to the audience, I said, you know what? If they had just looked out the window, there's a Pizza Hut right across the street. I'm not kidding. I must have had 10 engineers come up to me at the show. Well, you know, Greg, the Pizza Hut wasn't there back in the 18th century. Had they done a soil study with the price of raw materials? I'm like, okay, save that for tomorrow's Zoom call, professor. And the weird thing is when you hang out with people who do the exact same thing for a living, you start talking like them. Like I was in Vegas before everything shut down, and I did a show for a bunch of jewelers. Everybody owned a jewelry store. And by the end of the night, I was talking like a jeweler. I came back from dinner. Somebody recognized me. They said, hey, Greg, how was dinner? I said it was timeless. My cheeseburger was prepared with exquisite craftsmanship. And here's the thing, they always want me to make fun of the competition when I'm on stage, but they never tell me who the competitors are. I have to find that out. So I'm doing a show not long ago, and it's for the Wall Covering Association. Everybody in the audience sold wallpaper and wall hangings and things like that. So I said, hey, who's your biggest competitor? Paint. Really? That's what some guy yelled. Like, how would you like to have that job? How was your day at work, honey? Well, it was going great. I was about to close this big deal till paint came in and ruined the whole thing. Hey, it is so great to be doing live comedy again. I can't believe I am saying that. You know, that's the thing about this pandemic. We start bragging about things that we were just so routine before it all hit, right? It's like, hey, Greg, what'd you do last weekend? Went outside? No way. What'd you do? Put on pants? Shut up. Yeah, we're all doing these just crazy things. And here's the thing. I mean, it started out fun, the pandemic did, right? Remember that when it first started March, everybody was like, oh, we can do this. I mean, this is gonna last like, what, 2 weeks or something? We can all self-quarantine. But here's the problem. Everybody in this audience, I guarantee you, knows somebody who is still in stage one, the fun stage of that pandemic. And these are the most annoying people I have ever met. My next door neighbor, I can't talk to this dude anymore. Every time I go over to see him, he's like, hey, Greg, look at me. Lost another 3 pounds, you know, because I'm not eating restaurant crap anymore. I'm self-isolating, so I'm cooking at home. And I'm saving money because I canceled my gym membership. And I'm doing online virtual workouts. And I'm watching documentaries on the History Channel. Did you see that 12-part series in the Byzantine era? That was fascinating. What have you been doing? Well, I just ate an entire carton of Rocky Road because the title matches the mood in my house. I gotta say, I saw the best social distancing sign just yesterday. It's in this town. It's on the campus of BYU. Where are the BYU people again? Where are they back there? Okay, so there you go. Okay, go to the student center. It's outside the student center. Here's the sign. Show you care, stay over there. I'm not kidding. It's like, wow. I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow, thanks, Provo, for inviting me into your city. I'll talk fast so I can get out of here sooner. Will that make you happy? Why don't you just say, show you care. Don't touch me, I swear. I have no no problem working from home. I've been doing it for 25 years. As a matter of fact, as soon as I started working out of my house, I put in a home office phone menu to make it seem like I'm a much bigger deal than I am. So now when you call my office, you hear, "Hello, thanks for calling Greg Schwem. For a company directory, press 1. Boop! Please spell Greg Schwem's name. For the letter Q, press the star key." Now being transferred to Greg Schwem. Boop! "Hi, this is Greg. I'm not at my desk right now, but if this matter is time sensitive, press 0 for the operator." Boop! "Hi, this is Greg. I'm not at the operator's desk right now. I'm running back to my own desk because I just heard the phone ring. I'm guessing it was probably you." Honestly, for a while, I didn't think I'd be doing comedy again. I didn't think comedy clubs would ever going to come back. I thought I'd have to find another line of work. So I started sending out my resume. Well, I didn't really do that. You don't send your resume out anymore. You know what you do? Now you send it to these job sharing sites, and then they look at it, and they send you job openings based on that they think match up with your skill set. And after a few weeks, you know what I realized? Of getting emails? You know what I realized? This country is in desperate need of forklift operators to work the overnight shift. Like, "Gee, Mr. Schwem, you're a comedian and a journalist? Well, I think that qualifies you to drive heavy equipment through an Amazon warehouse at 3 a.m. When can you start?" Anybody else getting emails like this? I mean, who is crunching the data on these websites? I got this one not long ago. "Mr. Schwem, based on your skill set, we think you would make an outstanding U.S. Border Patrol agent." Like, based on my skill, what skills are you referring to exactly? "Congratulations, Agent Schwem. You had the Colombian drug cartel laughing so hard that our other agents were able to sneak past and intercept that freighter full of cocaine. Congratulations." Everything is weird about this pandemic, man. I'll tell you the one thing that's pretty cool about it, though. Everything's cleaner. I'm getting emails from all these companies that are bragging about their new cleaning regimens, which is another way of saying, before the pandemic, we didn't clean anything. I got one from Uber. "Now our vehicles are Clorox clean." They were actually patting themselves on the back because now all Uber vehicles have Clorox wipes in the vehicles. You know, I'm like, hey, where was that last year when I was sharing an Uber with the guy you were dropping off at prison? So I'm glad to say that I'm still doing stand-up. It's good. I didn't have to find another job. But you know, I don't know why there's any unemployment in this country when you think of all the weird jobs that are out there that you see advertised. I've decided if you don't have a job, it's because you had some unemployable college major. Like, there's this kid at the end of my block. I said, "Hey, Grant, how's the job search going?" He goes, "Horrible. You know, I graduated a year ago, June. I still don't have a job." I go, "That is horrible. What'd you major in? Medieval history?" Really? No one's hiring in that field, huh? Have you sent resumes to all the Knights of the Round Table? Tell you what, I'm friends on LinkedIn with Sir Lancelot. Let me hook you two up. I think the only thing worse than the one stupid college major is the two stupid college majors, the double major. There's this girl that works in my health club. I said, "What'd you major in?" She goes, "Oh, I was a double major. Philosophy and Italian studies." Great. Yeah, you'll be the deepest thinking waitress at the Olive Garden now, won't you? So colleges are starting to open back up for about, 15 minutes or so? All right? Yeah. Every college is like, "Hey, did that tuition check clear? Okay. Close the dorms. We're going virtual." Apparently that struck a nerve among the BYU students, huh? Yeah. I hope colleges stay open because I mentioned I was at BYU yesterday. That's the thing I like to do when I'm on the road. I like to tour college campuses. And I'll admit, you do get a few weird looks when you're a middle-aged man touring a college campus all by yourself. You know, the tour always starts out the same way. The perky freshman comes out. "Hey, we're about to start the tour. Where's everybody from?" "San Francisco." "Great." "Nebraska." "Oh, my cousin lives in Omaha." "How about you, creepy guy in the back with no kids?" Like, hey, I'm an architecture buff, all right? I understand this school was built in the classic neo-Gothic style, particularly the sorority quads. Perhaps we could start there. My favorite thing on college tours, every college tour has this. They always want to tell you who the most famous alum was. And depending on how old the school is, the answers can get really weird. Like, My oldest daughter, when she was looking at colleges, we toured Columbia, not the one in New York, the one in Missouri. So we're on the tour guide goes, hey, you want to know who went to school here? Brad Pitt lived right over there. And I'm not kidding. Everybody on the tour took out their phones and took a picture of the dorm. Like a hungover Brad Pitt is going to walk out at any second. Like, yeah, I was a couple of credit hours short. I just came back to get my degree in between making Ocean's 11 sequels. So that was the older one. Now the younger daughter, we toured William and Mary in Virginia. Second oldest school in the country, chartered in 1693. So we're on the tour guide goes, hey, you want to know who went to school here? Thomas Jefferson. Lived right over there. They actually pointed out Thomas Jefferson's dorm. I said to my daughter, I said, if you go to school here, don't pick that dorm. I'll bet the Wi-Fi sucks. And some of these schools, these really old schools, they haven't upgraded the furniture since they opened. We went to Princeton, third oldest school in the country. So we're in this big castle-like building, and we're all sitting at this humongously long table made out of mahogany with these high-backed wooden chairs. We go outside, my daughter goes, "What you think?" I said, "I think you'll be very happy at Hogwarts." What time is the parent-student Quidditch game? Here's the first thing I always want to show you on a college tour, the fitness center, the rec center. Does BYU have one of those? They got a big fitness center probably, because that's what kids do all the time, right? They all want to work out all the time, which I think is great. My kids are on me all the time. Dad, you got to stay in shape. They're always, every time I have a birthday or something, which by the way, my birthday is in 2 hours. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I just had to remind myself of that. But anyway, so last birthday, they got me a Fitbit, and I love this thing. Is anybody wearing a Fitbit exercise tracker, anything like that? Anybody have one of those things right now? Nobody's wearing one? Really? Nobody? You're right back there, you have one? How many steps do you have so far today? Back in the back. Did you raise your... How many? I can't see that. Is that 10 steps? 6,000? That's pretty good. What's your daily goal? 10,000, that's right. That's what you're supposed to get. The Fitbit just wants me to get 10,000 steps, but I love it. It is so non-judgmental. All it cares about is that I get 10,000 steps. It doesn't care how I get them. If I'm on my way into a Dairy Queen for the third time that morning, and that's when I hit 10,000, this thing buzzes. You're awesome, Greg. Yep, for 15,000, there's a Ben & Jerry's a half mile up the road. Yeah. I want schools to stay open. Kids got to start going back to school, man. I feel sorry for these kids who are doing virtual. Their parents are homeschooling them. Now, I'm sure that there's maybe a few people in this audience who maybe were homeschooled growing up, or maybe some parents who've homeschooled your kids. Good for you. Some people are good at it. The problem was when the pandemic hit, we all thought we were good at it, and that turned out not to be the case. Right? When the pandemic started, it was like, hey, Chloe, today we're going to learn about fractions. Mommy's going to teach you. Go get that organically grown apple from Whole Foods and Mommy's Pampered Chef apple slicer. Now, Mommy's going to cut this apple into 8 slices. Now, if you eat 2 of them with that delicious glass of almond milk, you have 6 slices left. That's 6/8, that's 3/4, that's fractions. Go get War and Peace. We'll read it before bath time. Thanks, Mommy. You're an awesome first grade teacher. Yeah, that was when the pandemic started. Fast forward to now. What do you think those lessons are like? Hey, Mommy, we gonna learn about fractions today? Sure, Chloe, yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, Mommy's Chardonnay bottle is 2/3 empty. The liquor store closes in a quarter of an hour. If Mommy's PPP loan comes through, calculate the percentage of bandwidth that's going to be needed to run the computer while Mommy binge watches season 3 of Ozark. That's another thing about the pandemic. Everybody got that favorite show that they had to binge watch and tell everybody about? For me, it was Tiger King. What a train wreck this show was. Man, it was all about exotic animals, owning them, like tigers and llamas and reptiles. No, thank you. I did some research on these reptiles. Some of these reptiles live to be over 100 years old. I don't want to own a pet that's going to outlive my entire family. Put it this way. When it comes time to think about pulling the plug on me, I don't want next of kin to be the iguana. You know who I really feel sorry for in this pandemic? My mom, my 83-year-old mother, in perfect health. Right before the pandemic started, we moved her into one of those active retirement communities where they got sports and fitness going on 24/7. You know what these things are like? It's like, remember when you went to summer camp when you were 10 years old, and on the last day, everybody was saying their goodbyes, and somebody blurted out, "I wish we could live here forever." And 60 years later, their wish came true. Every time I go and see her, there's always these weird sports going on that I've never heard of, like contract bridge and rummy cue and pickleball. Anybody ever heard of this sport? This is the fastest growing sport in the country, pickleball. Pickleball is a great sport to play when your body is too broken to do anything else. If you can't play pickleball, your only choices left are bowling and curling. I've gotten into this sport too. I will not tell you the rules of pickleball. I'll just tell you how it starts. It starts with 4 people meeting at the net and then revealing what physical ailment drove them to play pickleball. You know, it's like, okay, knee surgery, torn retina, Achilles surgery, tennis elbow. I think we all qualify. Let's have fun. Yeah, we gotta get out of this thing, man. We're starting to get out of it a little bit. People are starting to, come up with new hobbies, things like that. So my wife wants to build another house. We've built 3 houses since we've got married. And if you're a married couple and you're thinking about building a house, I'm going to sing you a song which I want you to join in on, and I want you to remember this if you're a married couple and thinking about building a house. So here we go. If you're happy and you know it, you should rent. Everybody, if you're happy and you know it, you should rent. I'll take this first. If you're happy and you know it, choosing carpeting will blow it. If you're happy and you know it, you should rent. Yes, thank you. See, that's the thing about building. Here's what happens when you build a house. You become what's called the general contractor, and you hire a bunch of people called subcontractors. And they're really good at one thing. They all know each other. They all like each other until something goes wrong, at which time they all blame one another. I went over to my house, the drywall guy's there. He's like, "Mr. Schwem, I want to show you something. Can't put drywall here." I go, "Well, that's my kitchen, and it's January, and I don't want, wind blowing through there all winter. What's the problem?" He goes, "Yeah, the duct's sticking out too far." I go, "Why?" He goes, "I don't know. Ask the HVAC guy." So I go to the HVAC guy. I go, "Hey, how come my duct is sticking out too far?" He goes, "It's sticking out too far because the plumber took up all the space between the 2x4s when he put the pipes in." I go to the plumber, I go, "Why'd you take up all the space between the 2x4s? He goes, "I didn't take up all the space. The electrician took up all the space when he pulled the wires through. I had to work around him." I went to the electrician. I said, "Why'd you take up all the space?" He goes, "Hey, I wired the house according to the way the architect drew up the blueprints." I went to the architect. I said, Why'd you draw the blueprints wrong?" He goes, "Hey, I never wanted to be an architect in the first place. My parents pushed me into this horrible profession. I wanted to smoke dope and follow the dead around in a van all summer." I went to his parents. I said, "Why'd you make your kid become an architect?" They said, "You know what that kid's middle name is? Oops, we weren't even supposed to have that kid." So here's what I'm doing now. I've started a new fitness regimen. That's what I've decided to do. I've got to get healthier because, I'm at that point, and maybe a lot of you are in this pandemic, where you're starting to eat those comfort foods, those foods you haven't consumed since you were about 8 years old. I was cleaning out my refrigerator not long ago. I got an old one in the basement. You know what I found in there? A juice box. My kids are 23 and 18. Do the math as to how long that thing's been in there. And you know what I did? I drank it. Well, I started to drink it. I had to stop. It is really tough to add vodka to a juice box. My insurance agent told me I got to start getting healthy. He says, "Greg, you're over 50. Maybe you should look into long-term care insurance." I said, "That's really expensive. I don't want it." He goes, "Well, then you're going to have to start get better care of yourself." So here's how I'm doing that. I'm starting to pay more attention to those drug commercials on television. But here's the thing. You notice they never tell you what the drug does? They just show people horseback riding and fly fishing and running through fields of wheat with their significant other. And at the end of the commercial, they go, "Ask your doctor if Dorfalax is right for you." Like, what? I call him like, "Hey, doc, is Dorfalax right for me?" "Well, that depends, Mr. Schwem. Have your breasts been abnormally tender recently?" "Well, not abnormally." The worst part of those commercials, I think, is that laundry list of side effects they give you at the end. I would rather have the disease than some of the stuff that's going to happen to me if I take this drug. I am not a diabetic, but I'm watching the football game last weekend, and this ad comes on for some drug that helps you manage your diabetes. And it actually said at the end of the commercial, it says, you should not take this drug if you're in the, you ready? Late stages of heart failure. I got news for you people. If I'm in the late stages of heart failure, you know what I'm taking for my diabetes? Chocolate cake. That's what I'm taking. The paramedics are going to find me face down in a box of double stuffed Oreos with my middle finger up in the air and my unsigned long-term care policy on the coffee table. Thank you very much, everybody. You guys have been all sorts of fun. It's been a great time in Provo.
Hi, I'm Greg Schwem. Thanks for watching my special. I hope you laughed. Hey, you know what industry has not suffered at all during the pandemic? The tipping industry. It is booming. It is hotter than ever. I know what you're asking. How can I get involved in the tipping industry? How do I become part of this bandwagon? Well, the way you can do that is just to punch one of those buttons there at the bottom of the screen and give me a tip if you like what I said. All right? You're going to feel so good about yourself. You're going to feel like you're actually part of a movement. It's going to be like owning 1,000 shares of Tesla stock. Trust me.